third unit. In fact, this should have been divided into two units. One is the types of wells, well construction, and well development maintenance. Then the other part, the steady state solutions for confined aquifer, unconfined aquifer, leaky aquifer, effect of boundaries. Of course, well losses and pumping and recovery tests can be combined with the well construction part. So actually, if I rearrange this, I would like to rearrange them like this. So first, the steady state solutions for confined aquifers, unconfined aquifers, and then the leaky aquifers, effect of boundaries, and image theory. Then, of course, comes the construction, development, and maintenance of wells. So this is one part, and this is one part, and this is the other part, right? Now, this part, types of wells, well construction, well losses, pumping and recovery tests, will take up in the later part. So first we will finish the steady state solutions. Now, if you recall what we had done in our earlier unit, we had taken the general groundwater flow equations we have studied. So, starting from elementary groundwater flow, we have derived the three-dimensional Cartesian coordinates in three-dimensional Cartesian coordinates, the general groundwater flow equations. And then we have taken analytical solutions. Now, this is for a steady state we have considered. Two simple cases we have considered. Now, what we are going to do is the same thing we are going to again repeat, but in a slightly different manner. So, what we are going to do is we are going to consider the steady state radial flow into a well. So, the steady state radial flow into a well is your, depending upon the type of aquifer, confined aquifer and unconfined aquifer. So, this we will derive in a different manner, and we will also consider unsteady state conditions. See, earlier we have not considered unsteady state flow, but now we will consider unsteady state also. So, just to have a better feel for the steady state case, we are going to consider again. Now, this is when a well is pumped, water is removed from the aquifer surrounding the well. Now, you can see here. So, this is the aquifer. Now, this is an impermeable layer. And this is the ground surface. This is ground surface. Now this is the static water level. The static water level means what? Suppose you are not doing any pumping, then the water level will in the aquifer will be here. Now when you start pumping water, I am always calling water, it can be in fact any fluid, but we are only interested in groundwater. So when you pump out water at some rate, so water will be entering into the well Now this is another bed. It is not shown here, but this is a confining bed. That means it is an impermeable, another impermeable layer. Now suppose you are not pumping water. So then what will happen when there is no pumping water, but your well is driven? Your well is driven. So when there is no pumping and when the well is driven, the water level will be in the well will be at this level. At this level. Now when you start pumping, then the water level will go down because you are removing the water, so the water level will drop. And at any time, let us assume the level will be here. Now, far away from the well, this is the center of the well. This is the center of the well. So the radius of the well, you can say, is RW. RW. Well radius is RW. Now, now at infinite distance, the water level will be here only. So from this point, gradually the water level. So this is how the drawdown will be at any time. This is for at any time. Now what we assume is we are pumping the water at a rate of Q. So constant rate. At a constant rate, the water is pumped out. So Q is the discharge in meter cube per second. This is the discharge in meter cube per second. So at far off distance, there will not be any drawdown. Drawdown means what? Drawdown means the level by which the water level drops. Now if I consider a section here, here drawdown is this. So what I will be doing is, I will consider two locations. This is my center of the well axis. So with reference to this axis, I will consider two locations. Actually, here it is shown from this to this, but actually this is the distance. So R1, radial distance from the well. The second point is R2. So at two levels, at 2 points, the drawdowns are S1 and S2 respectively. So when the drawdown is S1, what is the head? Head in the well above the aquifer is H1. And here it is H2. What is the undisturbed H? That is the equilibrium H or static H. This is H. The head in the well is HW. So let us first consider steady state radial flow. Has someone joined? So let us consider first the confined aquifer case. So steady state radial flow through a confined. Now here I have to add one more term. It is non-leaky. And also I have to add one more term. The aquifer is non-leaky and the well is fully penetrating. That means this is the total thickness of the aquifer. So this well is extending throughout this depth. So if I consider a well like this, say for example, which is not driven up to the bottom, then this is a partially penetrating well. This case is a partially penetrating. So we are not going to consider this. We are going to consider only our fully penetrating case. Okay. Now, S1 and S2 are the drawdowns. So, drawdown is nothing but the difference in the level between the static level, and the level at any given instant of time. The difference between the static level and the level given at any instant of time. So, this is S1 and this is S2. I can refer this as also as SW. As SW. Now, what are the assumptions? Let us see the assumptions. So, there is radial symmetry in wells. So, that means if you consider the well, the well is not something like this, but the well is a symmetrical well. So, I cannot consider a well of this shape. So, these types of shapes are not considered. So, this is a symmetric well. So that there is a symmetry in all directions, symmetry of flow in all directions. So, therefore, that is the first assumption. Then, second assumption is, if any annulus is considered, the total quantity of water is same with other annuli. That is, for continuity, the flow across any annulus is constant. That means, if I consider again so this is the annulus. Now I consider, say for example, this is at some distance. Now I consider at some other distance. It may not be possible for me to exactly draw, but I will try to. So, this is one annulus of thickness dr, and this is another annulus of thickness, again same dr. So, if any annulus is considered, the total quantity of water is same with other annuli. So, that means the rate of flow per unit length of the annulus, that means if you call this as Q, if you are calling this as Q, what is the flow per unit length? If this is, say, R1 or R2, I will call. So, what is the length of this annulus ring? 2 pi R1. So, if you call this as small q1, And if you call this as Q2 here, so Q2 divided by, this is R, I'm sorry. Okay, let me call this as R1. And this is R2. So Q2 divided by 2 pi R2 is Q2. So our assumption is Q1 is equal to Q2. So as water approaches a well, the flow rate increases. Then the groundwater flow is horizontal. Now, what is that? You are having, okay, I will show with the help of this figure. See? The flow is like this. The flow is like this. So if you consider in plan, this is the well, this is the flow. So at any section, if you consider, at any level, if you consider, the flow will be horizontal. The flow is horizontal. When the flow is steady, the drawdown is not increased further. Now, what is the meaning of this statement? It is not increased further means if you are having a well and when you are pumping water at a constant rate Q, this is the initial water level, static water level. And when you start pumping out, gradually the water level will reduce. And ultimately it will reach a particular equilibrium level. So when Q is maintained constant, there will not be any change further in this drawdown. So there will be initial commencement of the drawdown, and when once it attains an equilibrium stage, it will be fixed there. So it will not increase further. That means this is a steady state situation. Now let us consider the derivation part. Consider annulus, that is cylindrical element at any radius r. So I have considered a cylindrical element at any radius r. Now according to Darcy's law, what do we have? Q is equal to minus K A I. What is I here? I is dH by dr, the slope of the hydraulic gradient line or phreatic surface. So what is A here? The area of flow. The area of flow is, this is the total height. So this is the length. The total length is so what is this value? It is 2 pi r. So this is the length. And what is the total height over which the flow is taking place? B. So multiplied by B will be the area. So A is 2 pi r A. So Q is equal to minus K 2 pi r B dH by dr. So simplifying this, we will get dH by dr is equal to this. Now, let us consider two locations. See, this is our well. So I will consider one location here, another location here. So let this radius be R1. And this be R2. So as R changes from R1 to R2, what will happen to that H? H will vary from H1 to H2. So here it is H1. So this is in our well. This is H1. This is H2. This is S1. And this is S2. So the limits are R1 to R2 here, and correspondingly H1 to H2. So if I carry out the integration, what I will get is simply this is the one. Now what I can do is I can replace the product of K and B by this. So integral dr by r is log r. So when you substitute its limits, it will be log r2 minus log r1. So log R2 minus log R1 is log R2 by R1 is equal to minus Q minus 2 pi T by Q and integral dH. Integral dH is H. So when you substitute the limits, you will get H2 minus H1. So H2 minus H1 can be replaced by, if you look at our previous figure, I will show you here. What is H2 minus H1? The H2 plus S2 is equal to, I will call this as, actually, up to here it is H. So H is equal to H2 plus S2. That is also equal to H1 plus S1. So what is H2 minus H1? H2 minus H1 is S2 minus S1. Now what I will do is I will rewrite this as minus S1 minus S2. Why? What is the reason? Because S1 is greater than S2. So this is a simple logic for writing S1 minus S2. So, but this minus sign is to be retained. So therefore, I can replace H2 minus H1 by minus S1 minus S2. H2 minus H1, actually here it is wrong. H2 minus H1, H2 minus H1 is H2 minus H1 is minus S1 minus S2. So if you substitute it, what you will get is this. T is equal to, now this minus sign and this minus sign will get absorbed, so that it will become S1 minus S2 here and no minus sign. So therefore, log R2 by R1, and if you take this Q and 2 pi to this side, it will be Q by 2 pi, Q by 2 pi, and delta S I will simply write for convenience, S1 minus S2. So this is equal to T. So this is what is known as Fiume's equilibrium equation for equilibrium, because it is steady state flow. So this is for confined aquifer. Now let us consider Now, so before proceeding to unconfined aquifer, why we have replaced H with drawdown is because the drawdown rather than head is normally measured during the pumping test. Now, when you have a well and when it is being pumped with a constant discharge Q, what we will be observing is we will consider two locations at radial distances of R1 and R2, and we'll have wells there. This is the initial phreatic surface. So, this is your S1. And this is your S2. Sorry. So this is called as observation well. So these two are called the observation well. And this is pumping well. This is pumping well. So because the drawdown from the initial stage can be easily measured. So therefore, we have replaced H by S. Given S1 and S2 at radial distances R1 and R2, and knowing the pumping rate Q, the transmissivity T of the aquifer can be obtained. Alternatively, if the transmittivity is known for a given discharge, the drawdown in an observational well can be calculated, or pumping well. Given the discharge, the drawdown in an observation well can be calculated for known drawdown in the pumping well. Known drawdown in the pumping well means what? Our SW. So when we do problems, then I will explain how to carry out these numerical problems. So if the values of R1, R2, S1, S2 and T are known, the discharge Q can be calculated. So this is the application of equilibrium equation. Now what I will like to do is, before going to the unconfined aquifer, let me once again consider, I will just tell what we have done. So we have considered a confined aquifer, non-leaky confined aquifer, and we have considered a fully penetrating well, and considering the static water level, that is before any pumping is done, we have assumed that the pumping is done from the test, from the well, or at a constant rate Q, and as a result of that, the water level in the well as well as in the surrounding aquifer will drop. So once the discharge is maintained constant, then the same phreatic surface is maintained. So there will not be any change or increase in the drawdown. So that is the main assumption. So with this assumption, I am considering Darcy's law. We have derived this equation, and this equation we have derived. Here R1 and R2 are two wells located at distances R1 and R2 from the pumping well, in which the drawdowns are respectively S1 and S2 from the initial static water level. So this is what we have done. Now what I want all of you to do is, you consider an unconfined aquifer. Now what is the difference between a confined aquifer and an unconfined aquifer? I will show here itself. In the case of a confined aquifer, what is the area of flow? Area of flow is written as 2 pi r in case of confined aquifer, we have written A is equal to the flow area is equal to 2 pi r into B, because irrespective of the thickness or irrespective of the location of the water table, always the flow will be entering into the well only through this area. So it is 2 pi r into B. Now whereas if I consider a unconfined aquifer, in the case of an unconfined aquifer, there is no question of any B. So this is the initial water level. This is the initial water level, and this is the water level at any time. So what is the area of the flow? The area of the flow is H. If I consider any location which is at a distance of R, so the area of flow is this. The height or the thickness of the aquifer through which the flow is taking place will be H, but not B. So therefore, in the case of unconfined aquifer, the area of flow is A is equal to 2 pi R, up to this there is no change, multiplied by H instead of B. So this is the difference. So A is here. So A here, you can see so if you substitute this and carry out the integration, you will get this result. Now what I want all of you is to do this. Okay. You take Q is equal to minus K 2 pi RH dH by dr, integrate and substitute the limits. So I will close this. I will close this and all of you do it. I will come back in 5 minutes. Did you all get this equation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So therefore, in the case of unconfined aquifer, you can see the drawdown is in the form of a, or the discharge is proportional to head square. So therefore, the drawdown curve is a parabolic. So this is called as cone of depression. In case of confined aquifer also we will call it as cone of depression. What is cone of depression? Cone of depression is nothing but the drawdown curve profile after attaining a particular equilibrium stage. Now, at far off distance, this original level is H. So this distance is normally called as this radial distance up to here is known as capital R, which is radius of cone of depression. radius of cone of depression. So this radius of cone of depression R depends upon soil properties. So there are equations. There is an equation given for this R. So that equation I will show you. So the radius of cone of depression maybe it may not be given in these books, but anyhow, Okay, I can give that after verification. There are some references where they are given. So maybe here they are not there available. Okay, it's not here anyhow. I will search and I will let you know. So, going back to our study, so far we have considered steady flow. That means from the beginning, we continuously start pumping. So when we start pumping and reach a constant rate, but in between, the flow will be unsteady. And one more thing is, when you are pumping out water, there will be a gradual change in the inflow. So therefore, it is highly difficult, or rather we can say it is impossible to have a continuous steady flow for a prolonged period of time. So the flow will be changing, increasing and also decreasing. So that is what is called as unsteady or transient flow. So we are supposed to consider the governing equations for unsteady flow also. So these are called as unsteady or non-equilibrium equations. Again, these equations we will derive for confined aquifer as well as unconfined aquifer. Now, this derivation will start with our original equation, namely this equation. This is our original equation. Unsteady radial flow into a confined aquifer. So this equation we will take and we will integrate this. We will integrate this. So when a well penetrating into an extensive confined non-leaky aquifer, extensive means fully penetrating. At a constant rate, the influence of discharge extends outwards with time. So the rate of decline of head times the storage coefficient summed over the area of influence equals the discharge. So the discharge is equal to the change in the decline in the head multiplied by coefficient at any location, and it should be summed over the area, total area of influence. So that will be the discharge. Now, since water comes from a reduction of storage within the aquifer, now what happens when you start pumping, the storage value, the S value storage, will be reducing. The quantity of water that is stored in the aquifer, yes, that will be gradually reducing. So S is not a constant. So S is a changing value with time. S is, this. So therefore, the storage coefficient may be same, but the storage volume will be changing. So the rate of decline, however, decreases continuously as the area of influence expands. So this is the applicable equation. Now let us consider this equation. In this equation, H is the head, R is the radial distance from a pumping well, S is the storage coefficient, T is the transmissivity, and small t is the time since beginning of the pumping. So what is small t? Small t here is the time from the beginning of pumping. And capital T is transmissivity. And S is the storage coefficient. H is the head, which is a function of the location and the time. So here the variables are R and T. So Thies obtained a solution for this equation. So for this equation, Thies obtained a solution based on the analogy between groundwater flow and heat conduction. So by assuming that the well is replaced by a mathematical sink of constant strength and imposing the boundary conditions. Now what are the boundary conditions? The boundary conditions are H is equal to H0 for T is equal to 0. That is, initially, if your pumping well is this, and if your location observation point is here, and your initial level is this. So, considering this as H0, now at T is equal to 0, what is the level in the well? Whether it is observation well or pumping well, whether this well or this well, what is the phreatic surface at T is equal to 0? This is the phreatic surface at T is equal to 0. So that is one condition. Now what is the other condition? Irrespective of the time, if you consider from the pumping well, an infinite distance so at large distances, R tends to infinity, this will be H0. Any time if you consider. For any time t greater than 0, so this is the other condition we will get. h tends to infinity, h naught, as r tends to infinity for any time t greater than 0. So, for such conditions, the solution for this equation is given by this one. See, this is what is called as your solution. So, from mathematical analogy, Thies has developed the solution for this equation is s is equal to q by 4 pi t integral some dummy parameter u varying from u to infinity e to the power of minus u by u du. So this e to the power of minus u this is called as the entire integral is called as a well function. So it is integral. It is a dummy parameter. U is a dummy parameter. So for different values of u, you will be getting. Now here, what is u according to our physical situation? U is equal to this. U is equal to the parameter is r squared s by 4t small t. So r is the radial distance at which we are considering, and s is the storage coefficient. One minute. This is smallest. 1 minute. Let me. Yeah, it is smallest only. So I will do one thing because it will be confusing. No, 1 minute. I will give clarification. See, normally I have done a mistake. I have not corrected this. So I will anyhow correct it and in other places also, I think. Okay. Here I will correct it. I will correct it, and in the afternoon when we meet, I will continue. From this point onwards, I will continue again. Right? So in the afternoon, at what time we are meeting? 1 minute. At what time did I tell you? Today afternoon we are not meeting, huh?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow afternoon is there.
Tomorrow same time, 11 to 12, not 11 to 1, but tomorrow 11 to 12, and tomorrow 4 to 6, isn't it? No, 3 to 5. No, 3 to 5 I cannot take. That class will be taken, isn't it? So 4 to 6, right? Tomorrow, 11 to 12 and 4 to 6. Okay? 4 to 6 I may not completely take. I will take 4 to 5. And if it is incomplete, we will complete at that particular stage and we will stop. So tomorrow 11 to 12 and again 4 o'clock tomorrow. So today we will not be meeting because today you are having 3 hours continuously. Right? Okay. So that unstudy part I will continue. Now, if you have any doubts in this part, you can give feedback, and then after giving feedback, you can leave the meeting. So I will be waiting for your feedback. All of you give your feedback. So that will confirm the attendance also.